The witch stuff is really cleverly designed and put together. Let's start off with -1 sin.
What are you? What have you done to Sayaka?
Pointless questions. Also, it's obviously a witch, Kyoko. How long have you been doing this for? Homura ex machina. Again. This might be tense if it wasn't for the fact that we still have no idea of the limits of Homura's control over time. The witch could be frozen for hours or for seconds. We don't know. Why is Madoka wandering along these tracks at night?
We transform into grief seeds. Then we're reborn as witches. This is the destiny which no magical girl can escape.
False. If you just get straight up killed, like Mami, you don't get turned into a witch. I guess Homura has taken over for her as resident liar. This dramatic wind just keeps starting and stopping for no reason. 5 more hair flip sins. So, Kyubey can teleport? Why does he walk around everywhere then? Also, just noticed that his ear things are actually coming out of little cat ears. What the heck is with his anatomy? Stupid weird space ferrets. Let's talk about Kyubey's plan. First, we'll steal from the wiki. Assuming there's one magical girl for every 1,000 people on Earth, and there's only human magical girls, each grief seed needs to create about 33 sextillion joules of energy. A single grief seed could power the Earth for almost 9 octillion years. This is a ridiculous amount of energy, which is supposedly created by the emotion of teenage girls, and they've been doing this since caveman times? For most of human history, there simply were not enough people on Earth, teenage girls are not, to fulfill that quota. Kyubey also lures the girls into contracts by approaching them at difficult or life-threatening times, which really isn't a lie, but is more than a little bit extortionist. Doesn't tell them anything about the task they're accepting, and seems perfectly happy when they turn into witches literally days later. Assuming the energy can be taken from both witch transformations and use grief seeds, isn't it more efficient and therefore in his best interest to keep at least a majority of magical girls working and collecting grief seeds instead of letting them or leading them to becoming witches? The worst part is, this isn't just Kyubey. This is apparently an entire civilization of creatures who believe emotion is a form of insanity. Do insane incubators get used for energy production? How have they been doing this for so long and not figured out any better way than tricking teenage girls into these contracts? And how did they get the power to grant wishes in the first place? These incubators have magic and literally rewrite the laws of reality, but it can only be triggered by teenage girls with trust issues? Who wrote these rules and why do they make no sense? Stupid weird space ferrets? 10 cents. No, 20! Also, humans being used as batteries, huh? Sounds like a certain Matrix?
There will come a day when you humans figure out how to leave this planet, and you'll join the rest of the universe. When you do, you wouldn't want to find the universe empty and desolate, would you?
Kyubey implies that entropy will destroy all other civilizations in the universe by the time humans leave Earth. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
If you consider the long term, this is a good deal. For you and everyone else.
It is absolutely not a good deal for the magical girls. Maybe for the whole universe, but not for the individuals.
But we always ask for and make sure to receive your consent before making the contract.
No, nope, no, you don't. The terms of the agreement were not laid fully out and the contract is null and void. They've been doing this now for how many eons and they still don't know how consent works?
We don't understand this concept of tricking you.
That's funny, considering how often and actively you do it.
Why is it that when humans regret a decision they made based on their own misunderstanding, they feel resentment toward the other party?
This is some grade AQ bull. It's not their misunderstanding, it's your lack of explanation. Kyubey is trying to paint the girls like they made bad decisions that are now coming back to bite them. But the only thing they really did wrong was trust Kyubey. And while that was terrible, the series itself tries to treat them like they deserve it. Like they brought all these horrible things on themselves for being selfish and or selfless. When it's really Kyubey's fault for not explaining the potential consequences of their actions and asking them to make informed decisions that way. They have no context for their decisions at basically any point in the series, and anyway, they shouldn't even have the legal autonomy to make this kind of contract.
You're not saying anything. I don't understand you at all.
Neither do we, Madoka. Neither do we.
We've had a hard time understanding you humans and your value system too.
How does a brilliant race of spacefaring, entropy-defying, wish-granting demon ferrets spend hundreds of thousands of years on Earth and still fail to understand what they're taking advantage of?
With a current population of 7 billion, which increases by a rate of 10 every 4 seconds, it's a mystery why you would care so much about the loss of a tiny handful.
Kyubey must understand the concept of individuality if he understands the concept of the soul.
So, if you ever feel like dying for the sake of the universe, call me.
This is either a sin-off for being hilarious, or 2 cents for a really awkward line that, once again, feels totally out of place in this dramatic and horrifying scene. Let's call it 2 cents, just to be safe.
Using all that energy to keep her body fresh. What are you hoping for?
Why is Kyoko doing this? It's kinda super creepy. Inappropriate shot.
Is there a way to get her soul gem back the way it was?
If there is a way, I'm not aware of it.
Kyubey is skirting around the question to keep to his not lying thing, but later when Homura asks him if it is possible to turn a witch back, he says, of course not, she should have known that was impossible. Yes, he didn't technically tell Kyoko it was possible, but he did heavily imply it and intentionally deceived her, even though he supposedly doesn't understand the concept of tricking people. Kyubey is a triple liar. Who eats this aggressively?
And it looks like Sayaka's staying home again.
This school and everyone in it are awful at noticing missing students. Yeah, so their telepathy is super long range, even when Kyubey isn't with either party. This would basically solve every problem in the series if they remembered to use it. Homura could telepathically check in with Madoka and tell her stuff without having to follow her around and kill Kyubey. Homura could tell Mami about Charlotte. Homura could... Oh, I guess it's just Homura that forgets to use her telepathy.
You want to save Sayaka Miki? Do you think there's a way? If there wasn't, you just gonna leave her like that?
What does that even mean? If there wasn't a way to save her, how would Madoka have any say in whether or not she remains a witch? Kyoko seriously makes a complete 180 from her appearance in the last movie. She goes from randomly attacking Sayaka for no reason to doing everything she can to save her, also for no reason.
What if when I cut that witch in half, instead of getting the usual grief seed out of it, what if Sayaka's soul gem comes popping out of it instead?
This is such a bonkers line of reasoning that I'm surprised Madoka doesn't call her out on it.
Wouldn't that be something? It'd be like one of those stories where love and courage triumph and stuff.
Kyoko leans on the fourth wall to let the audience know that this is not one of those stories. Except it is, but it's not. But it is, but it's not. But it is, but it's not, but...
The reason I became a magical girl was because I love stories like those. Can't believe I forgot that.
Shallow explanation for complete character change is shallow.
My name is Madoka Kaname. Man, you're so cramping my style.
You're cramping my style? How is that an appropriate response to an introduction? Where's Miss Saotome? Who's this doof with the Dumbledore glasses? Is this just a weird camera cut, or did Homura time stop her way out of the room? Probably not the latter, because everyone would notice, but then again, the people in this town don't seem to notice anything, so...
In a couple of days, Walpurgisnacht is gonna come to this town.
Who names the witches anyway? Are those runes that pop up when they're introduced actually showing up in the real world?
The magic residue's the same as yesterday. It's her, no doubt about it.
Magic residue? Wholly new and unexplained concepts, Batman! Also, what? Is the magic residue music shaped? Is that what you mean? Kyoko is a jerk to graffiti. Kyoko pulls the same last-minute character speech thing as Mami in the last one, so say your goodbyes now. I guess witches and their labyrinths are related to their wishes, right? That's why Charlotte was this cute doll in Candyland and Octavia Hare has all this orchestral stuff. But why is she a mermaid, and what kind of wish do you have to make to be that horrible mustache-wearing cotton ball swab monster thing?
I thought you were a wuss, but no matter how hard I beat you, man, you just kept getting right back up, didn't ya?
You fought once, and you only ever clashed like 3 times in the whole thing before Homura showed up to stop you. You knew Sayaka for a week or less before she turned into a witch, and now you're acting like your old rivals. Also, is this bit supposed to be literal or in Kyoko's head? Because if it's literal, then why is Sayaka projecting the events of the anime on the wall? And if it's in Kyoko's head, then why are the violinists there? That is like way too much blood, and it's thick. Ew. Heavy-handed imagery is all well and good, but does this orchestra only have violinists, or...
Sayaka!
Sayaka.
Hey God, if you're there, let me have a happy dream.
Geez, that's depressing. Does Kyoko still believe in God after all that stuff that happened with her dad? Deus ex Homura. I mean, Homura ex Madoka. I mean, hey, how did Homura know to come here at this exact time anyway?
You can't fight in Carrier because you'll get us both killed.
Ironic echo! Except this time it makes even less sense. Why don't they both just leave, stop time, and run away? Okay, sure, this is dramatic and terrible, whatever, but on top of the fact that Kyoko's sacrifice here is pointless and serves only to let Homura and Madoka be alone at the end, Kyoko's only had the half an hour of screen time, and Sayaka's witch form is like the smog of this series. So 1 sin for Kyoko for making a dumb sacrifice, 1 for her character arc making no sense and ending abruptly, and 1 for reminding me of the Hobbit movies.
More than a minute of this. Ah! Sudden demon ferret!
Could Kyoko Sakura have saved Sayaka Miki?
Of course not.
See, Kyubey led her on. He knows what tricking is. Liar, liar, liar!
Walpurgisnacht is coming, and you are the only magical girl left to stand in its way.
Why is Homura the only one who can face Walpurgisnacht? When Mami died, Kyubey said the other magical girls would come and try to claim their territory, but the only person who showed up is Kyoko. Where is everyone else? Going back to the incubator's plan, if magical girls are so sparse that nobody else can make it to Mikikihara in the next few days to fight Walpurgisnacht, then every single grief seed must produce like a bajillion times more energy than 33 secdecathlon joules. That's a technical term, people.
So if Madoka wants to protect this city, she'll have to become a magical girl.
Or maybe Madoka listens to Homura for once and everyone dies before Homura can turn back time. Then what, Kyubey? Another 50 seconds of this. The entire sequence of Homura Groundhog Daying her way through time to save Madoka is pretty awesome. 5 sends off. These girls are even worse in this timeline.
Didn't you need to go to the nurse's office right now?
Why does Madoka know Homura has to go to the nurse's office? In the final timeline, she has no idea. So when does she learn this information?
If you were blessed with such an awesome name, then you have to make it your mission to be just as cool!
Sure, Madoka is already a magical girl in this timeline. Does that somehow make her 3 times as peppy and energetic?
I can't do anything right.
It's your first day back at school. Maybe just chill for a week and see how things shake out. Where is this witch in the final timeline? Okay, so Homura keeps coming back and forbidding Madoka for becoming a magical girl. We don't see it in the movie, but she does this by immediately leaving bed and killing Kyubey before Madoka can contract to save a cat that gets hit by a car. The question is, what was Homura doing between the day when she gets saved by Mami and Madoka, and a week ago, the day she got out of bed and Madoka contracted? Is this supposed to actually be a week later? Because if it is, they don't make that clear. Really, they don't make any part of the calendar clear.
It won't be long until Walpurgisnacht gets here.
Mami knows about Walpurgisnacht, but never once mentions it in the final timeline we see. How does she find out about it here? And why doesn't she talk about it then? Why can't Homura use her knowledge of it as proof that she's not doing sketchy stuff like Mami believes? The only reason is that Mami takes this as proof that she is being sketchy, which is just one more example of her grabbing the idiot ball with both hands and never letting go. Where is literally anyone else? Sayaka, Homura, Kyoko? Why are these 3 the only people around?
Saving you from that witch was the best thing I ever did. That's something I'm always gonna be proud of.
And by always, I mean for like the next minute or so. How did original timeline Madoka manage to kill Walpurgisnacht all by herself? This is the only timeline where Homura has never gone through the loop, and Madoka has been a magical girl for what? Less than a month?
Your wish has overcome entropy.
So is it the wish that overcomes entropy? Why not systemize that? Also, does Kyubey say this every time he grants a wish? How come Mami or Madoka or Sayaka or Kyoko never ask what he meant? This shot of the calendar would be great if we had any idea where anything else takes place relative to it.
It wasn't a dream.
It wasn't a dream! I really did just watch the entire city get demolished and millions of people die! Homura's training montage is adorable, funny, and informational. 3 sends off. Seriously, where are these witches in the final timeline? Does Homura just go and kill them by herself or something? This homemade pipe bomb looks super professional. I mean, it's got electronics, a pressure switch, beeping lights, and a payload big enough to destroy a witch in one hit. Are mundane munitions really that amazing against witches? How come no other magical girls have figured this out? That is an upskirt shot I did not need to see or think about. Serious mood whiplash, my emotional neck hurts. How come when Sayaka was about to turn into a witch, she wasn't writhing on the ground in pain and her soul gem was still a soul gem shaped until the second it broke? So Sayaka is a magical girl in this timeline. When did that happen?
All Homura has to say here is fine, don't believe me, but ask Kyubey. He only tells you stuff if you ask him, and the argument is done.
You and Mommy use long-range weapons, so it's no biggie for you guys. But when I'm fighting, I don't like it when there's explosions going off in my face.
Explosions aren't okay, but shooting hundreds of flintlock muskets is? Sayaka just wants an excuse to get rid of Homura. Homura stealing the weapons from the Yakuza is hilarious and clever, but for one thing, her time stop must last an insane amount of time to pull this off. And for another, how did she even find out about this place? How did she even get in here? What's with the laser light show? Octavia and her labyrinth look a lot different in the final timeline. Did she make a different wish? Okay, even with the ability to stop time, Homura still has to know how to aim and operate all of her weaponry. Considering this is before she ditches her glasses and uses magic to heal her eyes or whatever, I'm gonna go ahead and add a sin for her improbable aiming skills. Why does Mami tie Homura up? If it's to stop her from stopping time, or even just to hold her in place, although she's leaving out Madoka. then this isn't just a moment of insanity, but premeditated murder. Mami is intending to kill each of these girls and then herself. That's not just an idiot ball she's holding, that's a life sentence ball right there. Is there any reason for this bullet to be going sideways and pass directly through Kyoko's soul gem? It's pretty convenient for Homura and Madoka both that after killing Kyoko, Mami decides to wait and explain her reasoning instead of doing that beforehand and discussing it, or maybe not doing it at all. How is she able to fire that gun after her soul gem is broken? From what we've seen, that should be it. Not even time for a last gasp. Nobody else gets one. You guys know you have other magic than your weapons, right? Can't Madoka do anything to restrain or otherwise stop Mami without killing her?
The two of us can destroy Walpurgisnacht on our own.
Actually, Madoka can apparently do it all by herself, especially now that you've gone through the loop at least twice.
Do you have any grief seeds?
Madoka is a liar.
How about we both become witches? Then we can tear up this rotten world together till there's nothing left. Wouldn't that be great?
I know what she really means, but geez, no. That wouldn't be great. That wouldn't be great at all. Why don't they have more than one grief seed? Fine, maybe they wouldn't know how much magic they'd use fighting Walpurgisnacht. But Homura is about to start the loop over, and she can just do everything the same, except save a grief seed for this moment.
You can go back in time.
Okay, maybe Kyubey can find out Homura's time travel. But how does Madoka know?
Don't let me turn into a witch.
Who cares? Homura's about to rewind time anyway. Madoka wouldn't be a witch if you don't exist anymore. Why bother with this? They should really be doing this instant transformation all the time. Man, this is hard to watch. 5 sins off for how emotional this gets. Let's talk about Homura's plan. Word of God says Homura went through almost 100 loops before the one the main series takes place in. It's possible that this moment comes after several more attempts, but the way it's framed, it seems like she tried to tell him about the future once, and then gave up. Why not just explain to Madoka about witches and incubators, but not tell anyone else? Because that seems to be what caused the problems later. Or, why not explain that Madoka asked her to come back in time and prevent her from becoming a magical girl? In the final timeline, she's super vague and doesn't really shield Madoka from harm. Madoka just keeps avoiding making the contract because of random coincidences, and or Homura killing Kyubey. She's never convinced not to do it, and giving her vague warnings that she can't possibly understand only makes her want to seek out the truth. Homura could also just tell them to ask Kyubey about it all, because Kyubey doesn't tell them anything unless they ask. Heck, the main reason there appears to be any conflict at all when Homura tells them the truth is because one or more of them, usually Mami, decides to grab hold of the idiot ball, instead of even attempting to act rationally. It's difficult to criticize Homura's plan, because she probably already tried it, but we only see a few timelines out of the many that she went through, and only her attitude in the current one gives the impression that she's tried everything. No matter what she might have done off-screen, it seems more like she gives up on the sensible solutions after 1 or 2 attempts, instead of refining her approach. She has all the time in the world, so why doesn't she use it? Why does the final timeline have to be the final one? How did it get this far at all? Almost 100 sins for this.
No one will accept the truth about the future. I know what to do now.
Once nerdy and her homely girl lets her hair down and takes her glasses off and is suddenly beautiful. Cliché. Also, Homura is a liar.
If someone comes and says they can grant any wish you want, it isn't true.
Yeah, that's not creepy. Walking away from the explosion cliché. So is this all in Walpurgisnacht's labyrinth? Or is that really what happened to Matakihara? What's up with the floating buildings and stuff?
One person can't handle this alone.
Liar, liar, weird ear things on fire. Madoka did it all by herself in the very first timeline. Is it just me, or do Kyubey's proportions change throughout this series?
It's trying to trick you!
Homura expects Madoka to hear this. Is there just some kind of endless abyss there? How is Homura still alive here? Why does Madoka immediately turn into a witch? It didn't take all of her magic to defeat Walpurgisnacht. Kyubey just said she did it with 1 shot.
I'm estimating it'll take her no more than 10 days to destroy the planet.
Overly specific time frame is overly specific. I don't care how big and scary and magical a witch is. If you could see all of it within the confines of the horizon, it's not going to be able to move around the Earth in 10 days, much less destroy the whole thing.
We pretty much filled our quota and have more than enough energy.
Really? Entropy is now reversed? How convenient.
My fight is somewhere else.
Are you
Was he about to say time traveler? Because it makes even less sense than it did the first time. This is not even close to what happened the first time we saw this. And how did Kyubey instantly get his body back anyway? At the fountain, it took a couple of minutes before he showed up again. It's a little weird to play the theme song again in the middle of the movie, but this made sense when they were individual episodes, and the altered context and mirroring of the original montage is really nicely done, even if it does show some stuff that got cut, like the cat. One sin off.
You've traveled across several different timelines and relived this month over and over.
So the whole thing takes place over a month? That's like... no.
A magical girl's potential is based on the weight of the karmic destiny she bears. Could it be that Madoka's potential to become the most powerful magical girl is because you kept turning back time?
This series tries to mix magic and science without explaining either one. An admirable attempt, to be sure, and it makes for a great experience the first time through, but this is some real cute bullshit.
By turning back time over and over, and each time for the same reason, you unknowingly caused these multiple timelines to converge.
This straight up makes no sense when you think about it. So like, is this the first time that any of the almost 100 Kyubeys figured this out? Because in the last timeline they showed, when Madoka was going to destroy the world, she was already the most powerful magical girl in existence. At what point in Homura's looping did Madoka cross the most powerful magical girl ever threshold? Is it in this timeline? Cause while that makes sense, it's also very convenient.
The body of an 8th grade student from Mitakihara Public Middle School has been identified as Sayaka Miki. Her body was discovered today in a room at a downtown hotel.
No one cares about the person who was staying in that hotel, or that her body is days old but looks like new.
Are you sure you don't know anything about what happened to Sayaka?
What kind of question is this? Why not something like, are you sure you're okay, or literally any attempt to evaluate her mental health? Madoka's mom should be forcing her into therapy right now, not interrogating her.
It's your fault they're dead and you act like it doesn't matter!
You tell him, Madoka.
We treat humans with much more respect than humans treat their livestock. We acknowledge your species as a sentient one, and try to deal fairly with you.
No, you do not. God, you're such a Kyubey. This is some Assassin's Creed level conspiracy right here.
We have intervened in your civilization's development since prehistoric times.
Okay, but some of these historical figures are adults, so what's with all magical girls being young teenagers?
Wishes are things that don't exist in the current reality, and anything that deviates from reality is bound to create a distortion. So why does it surprise anyone that these things end in disaster?
Because they're not privy to that information, maybe? Also, quick addition to the incubator's plan. One day, entropy is gonna kill the universe. Let's fix that by ripping holes in reality. Brilliant!
It was thanks to their sacrifices that human society developed as far as it has.
How did a couple million, at most, magical girls, stretched out over all of human existence since prehistoric times, get humanity to advance to modern times? They weren't scientists. Most of them must have lived for only a few years after making their contracts. Was it by defeating witches? Because those witches wouldn't exist if magical girls didn't. So, Kyubey is a liar.
Why should the lives of a few people matter in the grand scheme of things?
You're right, they don't. But they do matter to those people, you muppet.
If your kind had never come to Earth,
you humans would most likely still be living naked in caves.
Zugzug make contract with Ferret. Zugzug have new clothes and magic powers. Hey, look, fire! Is that a meteor?
Are they just in some massive bar after hours? Are they trespassing right now?
I can tell there's something heavy on her mind, and usually she'd come talk to me about it. She knows she can come to me with whatever problem she's got.
Clearly, she does not know this.
All Madoka needs right now is some time to get a handle on her feelings. Be patient, she'll come around.
This might be good advice if it wasn't for the fact that Madoka's best friend just died and she's obviously depressed. Why are we even seeing this scene? Neither of these characters do anything meaningful in the entire series. The White Void Room is in an apartment building?
This witch is different from the others. It's so powerful, it doesn't need to hide in a labyrinth. And when it appears, thousands of people are going to die.
Where does it appear from if it's not hiding? And if it's not hiding, how do the muggles not notice it? Aren't witches invisible? Who knows?
Since ordinary humans can't see it, they'll think the destruction was caused by an earthquake, tornado, or other disaster.
But Madoka can see it, and she's not a magical girl, right?
You're the only magical girl left.
Like, the only one in the world? Because that means for her energy to counteract the entropy that Homura's grief seed needs to generate, let me just do some napkin math here, about 7 femdecillion 161 octodecillion joules of energy. That's this many zeros. That much energy could create an explosion that erased, like, every galaxy we can see. You know, probably. I'm not a scientist.
What if I can handle it by myself?
Homura is a liar.
How can I be honest with you? You wouldn't believe me anyway.
Madoka is pretty much the only one who has ever believed Homura.
I'm from the future.
Well, not really the future, per se. More like the concurrent present. In a different timeline. I did come back from the future in like 2 days, but from there I've been doing this whole loop thing, and, well, never mind, you get the idea.
I'm not making any sense.
This is pretty much the only time you've made sense in this timeline. Okay, now the video screens are doing the same thing as in Octavia's labyrinth, except they're showing scenes that aren't even from this timeline. Is Homura's room a labyrinth? Is this in her head? What is going on here?
Issue the evacuation order!
An evacuation order is being issued for 7 a.m.
Is that how evacuation orders work? There's a giant storm that will be here any second. Better leave by tomorrow morning. Also, fine, witches appear to be natural disasters to muggles. Plenty of magic works that way. What doesn't make sense is that they would be able to detect witches as actual natural disasters. Or are they saying that witches do their own thing and also cause the natural disasters that they are simultaneously appearing to be? Like, the illusion is that it's not actually an illusion?
Okay, here I am.
Slick. What? Where did all the rocket launchers come from? We know Homura has to manually move and use the guns she keeps in hammer space. Did she line them all up and then go stand in the middle to deliver a line? Wow, she did. When did she do all of this? It couldn't have just been now. All those explosions are halfway across the city. Was she just planting bombs everywhere for the last couple of weeks? This is ridiculous, but also amazing. Cool and Annette Sinoff. Okay, now that's inexcusable. How did she get all those trip mines so evenly spaced? For one thing, that explosion should have leveled the entire city block, if not the entire city. For another, Walpurgisnacht survives this. I mean, it's the most powerful witch of all time, but come on, one bomb blew up that laundry witch in the second timeline.
What's wrong, Madoka?
Going to the bathroom.
Madoka is a liar.
Do you think Homura's gonna be able to beat it all by herself?
If I told you no, you wouldn't believe me.
Don't you play the Kyubey who cried wolf. She wouldn't believe you because you're a compulsive liar.
Do you know why she's being so stubborn about it?
Because she hasn't given up hope.
Or because, like, the whole city could be destroyed. Whatever.
If things don't work out, she'll just negate this timeline and start it all over again.
Well, she won't, because that would make too much sense. Where did her mom come from? Child abuse. Her mum is gonna let her go out there because Madoka is the protagonist, but a reasonable parent would not allow this to happen. Her mum only lets her leave because she's read the script and she knows there's magic involved.
And you're sure you're not making a mistake? No one's lying to you or trying to trick you?
I'm sure.
Madoka is a liar. We know their bodies don't actually matter. Why is a rock landing on her foot such a detriment? Convenient moment of despair is convenient. How funny that it should happen just minutes after Kyubey tells Madoka it will happen.
Of all the times in this series when a character stumbles upon someone in the middle of nowhere with no foreknowledge of their movements or whereabouts at exactly the right time to solve a problem or save them or learn some crucial information, this is the worst one. It's like 10 times as worse as any of the others. How nice of Walpurgisnacht to stop destroying everything so they can have this moment.
If you do, then everything I fought for.
Remind me why Homura can't just loop again, right now?
I know you're the reason that I'm the person I am today.
No, she isn't. As far as you're concerned, you've known her for a month as that weird girl who follows me around.
So no matter how enormous your wish, it most definitely will come true.
I wish I had the power to erase all witches before they're even born. Every witch, past, present, and future.
So, this is a pretty great moment. Sin off for how awesome this is. But Madoka doesn't believe Kyubey anymore, so even if incubators really did elevate humanity from tree-dwelling cave people, then why not wish for incubators to never have come to Earth, or wish away entropy? Kyubey even says that no matter what her wish is, it'll probably come true, so why not wish for all of that and for Earth's history to be exactly the same as it is right now, minus magic? Come on, Madoka, you were so smart for a second there.
That wish! It will unravel the fabric of time itself! It violates the laws of karmic destiny!
Who cares? Wishes are supposed to do that, you said. Homura's wish already does that. Why are you surprised?
Are you trying to become a god?
Remember this?
Madoka, if you wished it, you could even become the god of this world.
All the magical girls, I want them to be at peace. And if that goes against the laws of the universe, then I'll just rewrite those laws.
This is a pretty inefficient way of going about it, though. If you're gonna rewrite the laws of the universe, why not rewrite the right laws, right? Right. Is this the afterlife? Is this in Madoka's head? Is this because of the wish? What's going on right now?
If someone ever tells me it's a mistake to have hope, well then, I'll just tell them they're wrong, and I'll keep telling them till they believe.
Definitely the best way to convince someone of something. Where's Sayaka anyway? What is happening?
If you think you can do it, do it!
Yeah, Madoka is 14. She should not be allowed to make this call. Yay for flower symbolism, I guess? Are these arrows going around the world or through time? How many magical girls are there, really? It would have been nice if you'd shown up like 30 seconds earlier so she didn't have to think she'd be a witch. I'm going to pretend that Madoka is a Dementor doing this. It makes a good bit more sense than what's actually going on. This girl has bear ears? Vikings did not have horned helmets.
I won't let your wishes end in despair.
I mean, unless your soul gem just gets broken normally, or your body gets so destroyed you can't use it anymore, or this is doing that thing where stuff happening in the past doesn't affect the future until we, the audience, see the person going back and doing the stuff in the past, which makes no sense.
Where is this place?
The universe is in the process of reorganizing itself.
The universe has also decided to put you here on this rock for a bit, so you can have a front row seat for the ending. Really, why is Madoka's soul gem so much bigger than everyone else's? Why is there no variation in size apart from this one?
That means her eventual despair will be so great, it will destroy another universe.
Kyubey apparently wasn't paying attention when Madoka made her wish.
It's only natural.
You can't say it's only natural while the universe's laws are being rewritten right in front of you. Why is Madoka's wish allowed to come to be when all the others are erased before they're created? What's up with this outfit? This is still awesome, by the way. Madoka becomes the divine manifestation of a law of the universe, and Homura watches as she erases her own despair from existence. 5 sins off.
Madoka, because of your wish, your life has no beginning or end anymore.
Why is Kyubey the one telling her all this?
No one will ever sense your presence again, and you'll never be able to interact with anyone.
Straight up lie.
This is worse than death!
See, she's interacting with Homura right now. She is, for all intents and purposes, a god. I know Homura is depressed and traumatized, but that's not really worse than dying, is it?
I know all the things you've done for me. I'm so sorry I never knew until now.
What are you apologizing for? You had literally no way of knowing unless Homura told you. 40 seconds of space. 20 seconds of water. Ave Maria.
All I really wanted was to hear him play again, you know?
Sayaka is a liar. Why is Sayaka even here? Why is Madoka here? Why are they in their school uniforms? What is happening right now? Where is the piano coming from?
Sayaka.
What is going on?
The law of cycles says it has to be this way.
How does Mami know what the law of cycles is? Is it the same way she knew about Walpurgisnacht? Is there some greater magical girl mythology that's shared between everyone but the main characters here? Why is Kyoko and Matakihara if Mami didn't die? Why is Sayaka a magical girl if she never followed Madoka down into the mall where Kyubey was calling to them? 5 sins! 5 more sins!
Madoka!
How does Homura remember her?
Do you know who Madoka is? Is she some kind of anime character or something?
Is there a reason that Madoka's parents didn't have another kid in this timeline?
I don't know why, but when I heard that name, I started getting all nostalgic.
How does Tatsuya remember her, but not her parents?
You know, that ribbon has got to be the cutest thing ever. But if I had a daughter, I would have made her wear one just like it.
I don't know if this is a call back or a call forward or what, but it's a sin.
Either way, how would we prove?
Ah! Sudden ear movement!
So if the laws of the universe were altered, the method to verify it wouldn't exist.
I mean, magic? Why is Homura throwing these cubes at Kyubey one at a time like a jerk? Homura remembers Madoka as a faint dream, fine, I get it. But why does Homura remember everything else? Kyubey thinks he can earn some sympathy by acting more like a regular cutesy mascot in this world. Kyubey is wrong.
That doesn't mean the curses of the world have completely disappeared.
Narration. At the very end, for some reason. Okay, what? Why does Homura have Madoka's bow? Where's her shield? Where are the guns? Can she not stop time anymore? And if Madoka never existed in this timeline, why did Homura become a magical girl in the first place? Why are there still magical girls at all? What about Madoka's wish caused these weird wraith things to show up? What is going on right now? Why does the series love ending on scenes like this? Why does none of this make any sense? 10 more sins! Okay, so here's the thing. Kyubey, Sayaka, Homura, even Kyoko, especially Kyoko, make this point that there's not going to be a happy ending no matter what you do, and making a wish to save others is only going to turn back on you because of the whole hope versus despair thing. But here we are at the end of the series, and I'm not counting Rebellion because A, I don't understand Rebellion, and B, it pretty much does the same thing anyway, and everything's pretty much fine. There's a happy ending. Everyone is alive except for Sayaka, but she's in magical girl heaven or whatever with Madoka. There's really no downside to this, as presented. Yeah, they still have to fight wraiths, but that's standard magical girl stuff. Now when you use too much magic, you just get whisked away into magical girl heaven, or wherever Madoka and Sayaka are right now. Madoka got her happy ending. She made the most selfless wish of all time, and got the best possible ending. So, 5 more sins for hypocrisy. Well, thank you all for watching. I hope you liked it. I had a great time making this with everyone else. Thanks to SS Generation, Manny Wong, Brian Kirby, Miss Sigma, Caden Tixero, K-Bell, and Pick Surprise for all helping out on this. And thanks to everyone who's subscribed and commented and watched these videos. I really appreciate it. Like I said in the last one, there won't be a part 3 unless there's some kind of massive demand. So I'll see you in my next video, whatever that is. See you next time.